So I've been seeing lately, for a while now, more people discussing in this kind of spiritual, metaphysical science sort of schizo community, and I say schizo lovingly, talk about what is referred to sometimes as God powers, things that have come along with their spiritual awakening or understanding that there's a spiritual war, being just more aware or attuned to their surroundings, and in tune, maybe being able to read people better, stuff like that. I've experienced some of that too, but I guess it's happening more with people lately for the frequency of seeing it pop up, like people talk about it, seem to be, I'm seeing it more. With me, and I mentioned it before, it's kind of weird. It's been a couple years now. I seem to have developed, and I mean, I don't know what else to call it, but super reflexes. Whereas, I'll drop something or I'll see something falling, next thing I know, it's in my hand. I've talked to Nia about this, and she jokes, why don't we test them out where I'll just throw stuff at you. I don't think it works that way. But, yeah, it's just a weird thing I've noticed. Like, I just seem to be, if I drop something or I fumble something, whereas I used to just drop it, now it shows up in my hand. I was watching Charles Carroll on one of his streams, and he's kind of pilled about all this stuff, and he made a joke referencing the fact that he thinks he's gained super reflexes, and he laughed it off like the way I do, and it just kind of stops me. I'm like, what the fuck, really? And he made a joke about it. Well, it looks cool up there. I don't know if you can even see that, but I don't think I've ever noticed that at night. Big building up there. Of course, it looks like shit through this camera. Whenever I see something here, it looks better in person. But anyway, yeah, so he has kind of this thing going on too. But usually, it's perceptive abilities, people feeling like they have some kind of higher perception. And what I think it could be is that just like the veil is thinning, scales coming off the eyes, the technology or magic or whatever it is they're using as the backbone of the system here, it's breaking down. As I've said many times, talked about, it's pretty much settled science as far as I'm concerned. But I think in some way, what's happening is our bodies that are just basically containers for what we really are, which is an energy being, possibly 5D. In these bodies, when we're in them, when we're broadcasting to them, which is more the case, I believe, they have governors on them, dampeners. And by governor, I mean, like, if you've ever driven like a delivery truck for company or something, they have a set thing on the gas pedal, so you can only go so fast. Like, you only go 55 or 60 or whatever the speed limit is where you have the trucks. That's a governor. I believe these bodies also have governors that keep us from being able to be ourselves, because I don't think these things are powers. They seem like powers to us here because we're used to being in these bodies and being very limited in what we can do, because everything's being dampened. There's just a lot of different governors in place that keep you from being able to move and work as your natural self. MDMA, is that what it is? MDMA? People have those trips, so they have psychedelic trips where they're separated from their bodies in some way. I was referencing that the other day when I was talking about how the guy came upon that group of people that were making castles with their mind. And when you're moving around in your natural state, when you're outside of your body, you're just energy, you're just light. If you want to get a piece of fruit off a tree, you don't have to reach for it. You just think the thought, and there it is. It's in your hand, you know. If anything, these appendages we have here is an amalgamation of what we just naturally are. We have to reach for them here in this material 3D realm. So what I think may be happening is the governors and the dampeners are breaking down, like the veil, and because all their magic or technology or a combination of both are connected. And as it's breaking down, you're being less dampened, you're being less governed, you know, you're being able to just be as you normally are. And as what you normally are, you don't have to reach for things. It's more like you can see something falling, or you perceive something falling, you just grab it, it would just be there in your hand. So I think as things are moving on, and we're kind of moving ahead in the timeline here, we're going to start seeing more and more of that. In fact, I watched a YouTuber just today who talked about God powers. That seems to be the word people use. These abilities that people seem to be gaining with this as time is going through these spiritual awakening or understanding. And yeah, I think we're going to see more of it because our natural selves will be less subdued by these containers we're in, basically. And the idea that these are super powers or abilities, it's just what we are. It's only extra abilities to what we think we can do here as being trapped in these bodies. I think I explained that like 4 different times the same way. I think eventually what's going to happen is I think we're just going to fucking vibrate out of this fucking place eventually. When it reaches critical mass. I don't know what critical mass is, but when enough people have gotten the realization, or awakened to the realization of what we are, and you know, a lot of people are experiencing these things that I am, and some of you guys are as well. Once the critical mass is reached, we'll be able to just transcend these fucking meat sacks and just get out of here. That's how Jesus is returning. That's how God's returning, through us. It's not going to be some guy coming over the hill on a cloud, as you know, a lot of other Christians think. Not to dog Christians. I feel like I'm always dogging them, but a lot of them are really arrogant, and I don't like that whole "you're going to hell" thing. But yeah, it's going to happen through us, you know, because we have these abilities too. I mean, that's kind of basically what Jesus was saying, you know, when he was out walking on water, and the apostles were coming to him in the boat. Was it Matthew? I always have this problem. I can never forget which one it was. And he's telling Matthew, "Hey, come out here to me, you know, come meet me. Just you can do what I do." And Matthew's on shore, ends up getting out of the boat, falls in the water, disappointed Jesus. Throughout the Bible, he seems to be, with these miracles he's doing, and the subtext is, you can do this stuff too. Now, of course, we don't know how cooked our Bible is. It has to be translated from Hebrew, and a lot of people that do those translations don't like us, you know. So I don't know what's being kept. The original Bible, and is it Mind Unveiled? He did a great thing on it. The original Bible comes from Ireland, where my people come from, and the Bible you have today is taken from that, and fucked and cocked and twisted and all this other bullshit. That's why I kind of have problems with the Bible. I mean, There's a lot of good stuff in it, of course. There's God in there somewhere. But a lot of those lessons that Jesus seems to be teaching, there's always a subtext of this is what you can do. You can do this too. Like I always say, like, you know, you got God at top, you're right under him. You're the next on the totem pole. And then you got all the envious demons and envious angels too, you know, and Satan and everybody else comes down here. We have those abilities. That's the big secret they don't want us to know. Because if that was understood, we'd be able to flip the whole fucking card table here. There's a difference between knowing, though, and believing. And then beyond believing, you have to have the idea that you don't just believe it's true, but you have to believe it's always been true. And since we're born, especially in the first 7 years when our brains are kind of mush and we're in kind of a hypnotized state up until the time you're 7, you're kind of open to a lot of stuff that is said to you or comes into you. You learn the bulk of how you're going to interact with people in this world during that fragile period. You are just fucking programmed, spellcraft, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff, you know. So it kind of sets you in a direction. And it's hard to deviate from that as you get older. You can understand something like, you know, we're light energy beings stuck in these bodies, and, you know, I could probably do, you know, when Jesus says that God can move mountains, or it was God in the Old Testament, the subtext is, you know, to me, what I'm catching here is that you could move mountains. You can do the same thing. I think that was in the New Testament. I could be getting them mixed up. I read them both concurrently. I have a Bible that has both. And the way I read it is I just open it up randomly. And I'll tell you, man, 8 out of 10 times, it's kind of talking to me. Like it's a subject or a passage or something that relates to what I'm going through or thinking at that time. It's fucking weird. It always freaks me out, and I gotta tell me this thing's fucking talking to me. But yeah, you can do that stuff too. That's really the big secret, you know. That's really what they don't want you to know. They want you to think you are nothing, you have nothing, you're a flea on a dog's ass, on a fucking rock. You're descended from a monkey and you're spinning around so fast that you can't feel it. It's like, what? Yeah, it's super fast. It's so fast that you can't feel it. It's like it's the same thing as like, oh, it's so big that you can't perceive it. And I used to watch a lot of science fiction stuff. And when the ships are heading toward planets sometimes, they want to land on a certain part. Maybe, you know, the bottom of the planet. But they're flying this way. Like, say this car is a planet, and that's the bottom of the planet. The ship will be flying that way towards it. And it's like, at what point does it spin around, and then the ground's in? It's fucking silly. It's stupid. It's like that. You know, they want you to just think these things, and you're taught these things within those first 7 years when, you know, you're the most malleable to the bullshit, really. I mean, you go into a classroom, even kindergarten, you know, what's one of the things they have right there, right up at the front? That fucking ball. That fucking ball. You don't even understand what it is, but there it is, you know. Let me go back through here. There's a lot of activity back here. I don't want to be talking shit there, shit. There is that attraction thing now, you know. You know what I'm talking about, where you go somewhere and you just kind of bring people to you. I've done a lot of videos. This is, you know, a place where I do a lot of videos, and I'll come down here, there'll be no one here. Within 10 minutes, I have like 3 cars all facing off with each other to get in the spot I'm in, and until I go over there, and then over there, they're trying to get in the spot I'm in. You know how it is. I think I've covered everything anyway. I don't think I really have much to say. I got to get back upstairs. But yeah, the God powers thing, it's a thing that happens. And we're going to see more of it. As their ship breaks down, we're going to be able to do more stuff. And you have them too. It's something I haven't really gone into or talked a lot about because it just sounds so weird. It's not, you know, it's kind of like the, I don't know, there's some other subjects that I usually don't get into because it's just, they're so big, you know, and I don't know where to, you know what I mean? So, but it is something that's happening, and it's just, we're going to see more of it, you know, as time goes on. There's a lot of room out here, guys. I'm just going to go in because I'm going to get frustrated. Until next time, don't blame the teacher, blame the school.